Hello. Gonna wait for some people to pop on here. There's Randy. Okay. Randy!
Hey, sis.
You look fabulous.
I was just about to say the same thing about you, babe.
Oh, stop. Tell me more. How you feeling?
Fabulous. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I feel like we'll just wait I always say a couple minutes and then I get antsy and last about 30 seconds, but just to see, give people a chance to pop on.
Yeah, now this is Tuesday talk? Is that
Tuesday's truth?
Tuesday's truth? Okay.
No bullshit, all truth.
And this is your first attempt at this, or?
Yes, this is episode 1 with you, the star, Randy Hample.
So, and last week you had a live healing.
Yes, so I'm going to be doing live emotion code sessions twice monthly because people love to see it in action. And so I found that, hey Shayna, I found that doing them live really pays off basically. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for having me today.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming. I'm just going to dive in because I have no patience. So to everyone who's watching, welcome to my first Tuesday's Truth. These are going to be fabulous spiritual chats with higher thinkers. My first guest is Mr. Randy Hample, and Randy is tuning in from Las Vegas, where I just moved back from to Maine. And I just want to give you a little bit of our backstory, how we came into each other's lives. So Randy and I actually met doing a production of The Wedding Singer musical theater in Las Vegas, and I remember seeing you, I think, before I met you, and you were like all smiles and laughing, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I love him already, and I want to meet him. Like, I loved your energy before I even said a word to you. So the rest is history. Go ahead.
Instant connection.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah, and what I feel like, it's so true, and whenever you're in a show with people, it's like you have an instant family, but when the show closes, you really see who your connections have been with, because those are the guys that stick around, and you have been that, and our friendship has blossomed into this spiritual, parallel spiritual growth journey. And so yeah, Randy is also a Reiki master, and he has had so many walks of life. I kind of want to let you introduce yourself now. That's just the story of how we met, and I'm forever grateful that we did. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
You know, it was the two passions of ours that brought us together. It was the love for theater and performing arts, and also the love for healing, because it was some point, I think we were maybe already to the space that we were performing at, but at some point I remember us talking a lot about healing arts at that time. And this was a few years back now. When was that?
Yeah.
16?
Yeah, 4 years ago.
16. And you have only just now in the past year received your certification as a healer for the emotion code.
Yeah.
Which to me was all brand new. I've never even heard of that until you introduced me. So that's how, we've kind of given and take between the two, so yeah, it was the theater. It was the fact that we love healing arts, and we just kind of ever since have been just like brother and sister,
Yeah.
That's what we say, soul brother and sister. So
yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
So, originally, I'm originally from New York. So we're both, that East Coast thing going. Funny that Las Vegas kind of brought us together. But in New York, that's where I started my whole path with performing arts, very young. And then I guess I wasn't quite so much aware of myself as a healer until I was closer to 20s, getting towards that part of my life. And so by that point, I already had kind of a foundation of, you know, a belief system and like knowing that there's something, and I started to study theater and dance and all of this, and I went to a school in New York that's called Fredonia.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Fredonia. Fredonia was really close to a spiritualist community called Lilydale, which is kind of what really started me on my path a little bit deeper in terms of being really interested in, you know, meditation and vibratory work and all of that kind of thing. And I started on a path with Reiki in 2007 in
Wow.
Geneva, New York, under Kelly Marino was the name of my Reiki master there, that kind of started me into the healing arts and getting me a little bit more interested in just understanding what it was. And then Lilydale has its whole spiritualist community where I started to learn a lot of fundamentals of different belief systems that I really adhere to. And this followed me. I left New York. I'd gotten a few degrees. I'd gotten all my training done. Had become a Reiki practitioner at that point. And I moved on to Florida, and it's just something that just continues to grow and grow and grow. It follows you wherever you go. And as a healer, one of the first things that I remember learning is that that is something that you come into this world with. You are born that way.
Yes.
You know, and I think back to when I was a kid, and so many instances of that being very prevalent and that being very true, and me not even being aware of it. You know, it just always was there. And so when I started to kind of push myself into, like, I guess just uncovering other passions and other things that I'm very interested in, you know, healing just kept coming up and kept coming around. And I was finding more in terms of Reiki, which is more of like using like a universal life force, and, you know, energies that kind of exist in everything. And, you know, somewhere between magnetic and somewhere between mental healing, and you know, with intention and things like that. And Reiki also led me more into the spiritualism, religion or philosophy, and that led me into more spiritual healing, which is a little bit different from Reiki, because it's more as you're like a vessel, and you just allow for the healing to be, you know, sent through you, rather than you actually using your magnetic energy or ability to raise a vibration or whatever. So all of this has been great. And I also have, you know, we all have, especially healers, I feel, healers and artists, you know, we have really tumultuous upbringing or whatever. And, you know, it makes for great material, but like super fun to, you know, to kind of really dissect the things later in life that I was holding onto. And I may have been able to talk about this through different therapy sessions of my own throughout life, or, you know, sitting with a hypnotherapist even, or whatever, and to kind of try to dig in there and see, like, what is it that makes you now as a human adult, like, as opposed to what it was that you went through growing up that you might still be carrying on to. And that's what is so fascinating about what the work that you do, is because it's separate. It's so different from everything else and every other healing modality that I've been aware of. And it really does. It goes straight to the core, and it gets it. I love it. I love it.
I know. It's no bullshit. It's pluck, 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 pluck.
Right.
Great. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that introduction. I just love you. I could gush about you for this full hour, but I'm gonna try to, like, keep things on track. I have my little cheat sheet here. So I guess for anyone who watches this later, or anyone who tunes in, the emotion code work that I do, in case you're unfamiliar with it, is basically it combines muscle testing or a pendulum at a distance. That's how I get my answers, to communicate with the subconscious mind through yes/no questioning, to pull out the trapped negative emotional energy that's contributing to the issue that we're working on, and at what age it occurred. And usually with that information, the person I'm working on is able to consciously pull what event that was. So a feeling of, you know, abandonment at 15. Oh, that's when my mom walked out, or whatever the case may be. So in addition to this work, basically part of the work as the certification process, that we learn about these things called heart walls, and they're the energetic walls that we build around our hearts, starting from, well, I would say fetushood, but really I had a whole past life heart wall. I don't even think I've caught you up on all this. I've had some wild healing sessions, but whew, so Randy he kindly, bravely volunteered to be one of my, I think my first heart wall victim client.
Really?
As I was getting my certification, and I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful to you for trusting me. And I needed to feel comfortable with the person that I was doing this on. And this is back when we could like touch other people. So this was several months ago. And I knew that I could trust him, and that I didn't have to feel like I was doing things perfectly, because I was still learning. And the work that we did was just wild. I think we did three sessions to break down your heart wall?
Yes, 2 we did in my home. You came to me, and then the last one we did remotely, which was awesome.
Yeah, and that was also helpful, because at that point I hadn't, you know, really built my business yet, and so working remotely was where I was uncomfortable. But now it's like, that's what I do, so it's great. So yeah, I guess I would just like to hear like a little bit about what your thought process was, and like as we were doing it. I mean, I got to live it with you, which is so beautiful, but if you could kind of just explain what was it about the process that made you feel like, oh my God, this is going to change my life, and then fast forward to 3 sessions later, or fast forward to some of the processing in between, and then fast forward to the end and breaking it down, and you know how that's affected your life now.
Well, kind of as I was mentioning just earlier, is that as healers, we are a little bit more sometimes self-aware, maybe a little bit more conscious, you know, because a lot of people, and you know, you see it all the time, you know, sometimes even our own family members are just living in a very unconscious state.
Yes.
You know, and they're just kind of used to the repetitive, just whatever it is that they've become accustomed to. And, you know, often this does kind of, that living in that unconscious state does kind of lean towards a little bit more distress.
Yeah.
You know, and dis-ease, when you kind of just like are there, you know, and I don't know, it's like about connecting all of the dots, you know, it's like really starting to figure it all out. So yeah, through talk therapy, through all of these other different kinds of modalities that I've grown to know, I have learned a lot about myself. I learned about different, you know, maybe defense mechanism that I developed as a child or something like this, you know. So I was aware of things that happen. It's not like I haven't really regressed much of things in my life. I'm not one of those people that have had something so traumatic that I just don't remember what it is. But I do remember like me just kind of like reimagining and reinventing different scenarios throughout my life, just so that for my own safety, like I can look at life a little bit more positive and not have to like, you know, it was like a fantasy lifestyle was my kind of like just seeing the whole world as like this big, beautiful place all the time, even though maybe it not necessarily was my defense mechanism. Okay. So I'm like very well aware of all of these different moments in my life and different things that has caused me to be who I am. But there was still just something that was not allowing me to completely transform, you know, and Sorry, my dad tried calling me.
Hi, Dad.
So transformation is yeah, right. Are we there? Are we back on? Okay, sorry.
Yes.
So transformation is something that's recently been a central theme in my life, and I just find it fascinating because ultimately that's what we're here to do, is to transform, you know, and to continue to evolve and to continue to grow. So like thinking about it, transformation sometimes happens instantly, like in an epiphany, and like you just get it, you know, everything just clicks, and then all of a sudden you realize that you can't continue your life any further without having transformed from that moment. But much more often, transformation is a very gradual process.
Yes.
You know, and we learn a little bit at a time about a little bit of this and that, and finally, and so that's like what happened for me was that I really felt that I had grown so far. I've gotten so far along in my own, you know, wanting to do my personal best in this life, but there was still something that just was not quite completely understood yet. And then you show up offering to do this amazing work, and it was really neat because we kind of got to just already, like we've explained how close we are as friends or as brother and sister, whatever, is that yes, we can learn this together. So it was neat to have those moments together.
Yeah.
It's great because in person or even over the phone or whatever, you know, we would spend a good 45 minutes to an hour just like, you know, having a great time and kind of using that time to sync our energies together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as I guess like as a client, you would say like that really allowed for me to feel so much more open in the moment and to almost be able to connect the dots when things started to happen and you started to do the work on me, and it just made so much sense in the moment because I could literally pinpoint down everything. You know, just like everything was just so freely flowing out of me at that point. So when we began, we started with, you know, like you were pulling out stuff from when I was like super, super young, you know, like 4 years old. And I immediately could connect what that was. I don't think we were ever really stumped. There would never came a point where it was like, oh, well, this is what this is. This is what that is. It was just always like, you know, with you and me, it just, everything just kind of flowed and I was able to.
Yeah.
So in already being aware of these certain scenarios and situations, great. I've already talked about it throughout my life. I've shared this with so many people. It's like, it's out there, you know, it's no longer like I'm not holding on to it, but then you're pulling it out of me. So it's like, okay, but I am still holding on to it somehow. How am I still having to go into a healing session and still talk about these things that I've already felt like I've dealt with over and over and over again in so many different ways, but yet it's still there.
Right.
You
and
know?
that is exactly, I'll just dive in for 5 seconds. That is exactly why, you know, people who are reluctant to try holistic approaches, but who have had years of talk therapy, I'm like, come to me, like, let me reel you in, because what I love about this work is that, like, if you don't have to talk about it, you can keep it to yourself and we can test without you having to tell me any details. You told me because we're friends and because, you know, we established that trust, and I'm always happy to listen to whatever my clients want to tell me, but you don't actually have to talk through and relive it, which is such a beautiful thing. And then we release it from your energy field, because, you know, we can move energy, we can't create or destroy it. But if you're still thinking about a trauma and you get that like gut wrenching, like you get that physical reaction, that chemical reaction, then that's how you know it's not actually, you're not healed from it. You may have like made your peace and like think that you've forgiven up here, but if you're still feeling those things, it's still in your field and it still has the potential to cause all kinds of issues, mental, emotional, physical. So that's, yeah, thank you. I'm stepping off my soapbox.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I don't know where I was kind of going with that, but
sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah.
Talking about how we were pinpointing and things you thought you worked through, all those.
So, right. So it started out where you were just hitting up some really, for me, blatant, obvious things that just like needed to be just, okay, now that you've already known it, but you talked about it's out in the open. And the thing was that you literally the way that it works is you're asking these yes or no questions. You're just, you know, like going off of the involuntary muscle movements. So it's not like we were actually having a conversation about when you were 4 years old and you're this and this and this and that. You know, we weren't even doing any of that. It's just like you literally just targeted right to that age, right to the emotion that was there. And then you asked me, like, are you willing to release this now? Mm-hmm. Which, of course, like, part of me is like, I've already released it, but really I haven't.
Because how am I finding it?
Just to give that final, like, just literally, like, your body can, on the cellular, get rid of it. It's gone, you know, and that was fascinating because we started to make some progress there, like in these specific moments in my life. Well, then you got to a point where you start to talk about inherited emotions, which to me starts unlocking some even deeper things, like some, like almost like family secrets and things that I've never even known all this time later, you know, for whatever reason. It's just never been it's never been shared with me, or like maybe particularly that family member is no longer even alive and I never had a chance to meet them in some cases, you know?
Yeah.
So to finally get like the idea of where everything lands, it really is very insightful. And if anyone who has any desire to live a conscious life at all, like this can only be one of those things that is so graciously going to help you along that path to enlightenment, you know? So it's just absolutely fascinating.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what Randy's referring to with the inherited emotions, the little like, snippet elevator speech version of that I always give my clients if we discover an inherited trapped emotion, is that it's literally things that if it goes back just to your parents' generation, then it's something that they experienced before your conception that was strong enough to have to still be in their energy at the moment of conception. So the little thing I always say is like, you get mom's blonde hair, dad's blue eyes, mom's relationship issues, dad's abandonment issues, and so you are created. So it's not just the physical traits, it's all of the emotional ones too. But some of these generational ones go back hundreds of years. I have not personally released some, but I've had some released from me that have dated back hundreds of years. And I love to work on generational trauma because so much of our subconscious beliefs around social issues and other things are not even our own, and they're shaping the way that we react because that's like in our DNA from being passed down from so many generations. So I'm a big fan of clearing those for sure.
Just fascinating. It's just absolutely fascinating. So like with the first 2 sessions that we did, you were in my home. After you can only do so much work at once. Like you couldn't possibly remove my entire heart wall in one session. It just wasn't possible. My body couldn't take it, you know? So after a session, I would start to notice, you know, up to like 3 days later and anytime after that like just everything, there was definitely a grander sense of bliss and a sense of serenity and calm and peace. But it just seemed like, thinking back before this work was done, the little things that would cause me distress are just like not even existent anymore. Like so silly. And it doesn't even matter. And I could be facing it like straight on. And it's just like emotionally wise, it literally has just opened me up in so many ways to more of a moksha, to emotional freedom, you know, that I just have always strived for, but it wasn't until the work that I've had with you, right? So by the time we got through like the second, and then we were moving towards the last and final, which we did remote, which was absolutely fascinating, use of the pendulum and everything. Do get to check out some of these other videos that Heather's showing because it's great work, and do it for yourself. I definitely recommend it. But the thing that was really, really, really fascinating is a very pivotal moment in my life that had to do with, you know, sometime in my upbringing. Also, those who were involved in that moment, in whatever emotional trauma I went through or whatever. And that third and final removal of the heart wall, and all of that scenario, now 15 plus years later, I'm finding, like, literally in that same 24-hour time span, there was certain series of events of things that happened in my personal life that had directly to do with those emotions that you were bringing out at the finality of the heart wall. So it's like, wait, this is actually taking place in real time in my life, although
Right.
I'm, I'm seeing this all finally come to fruition and finally make sense and like fall into place. And it was literally just, it just all happened. The synchronicity was just absolutely astounding. It kind of really rocked me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have, almost like making it through that time and having you there. Oh man, it's also amazing because healing work happens, I find, when it's supposed
Yes.
to whom it's supposed to. It's not anything that we could like go seeking out people to be like, let me heal you. Like,
Right.
it happens when it needs to, when it's time. Like I think about when you were getting your certification, and I remember being on so much of, and like in fire for it with you, and it was like, oh my gosh, like let me try to help as much as I can. And I had a family member in town, and I was really trying hard to be like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the time. It wasn't for maybe necessarily that family member of mine, like it wasn't really like we were trying to force it because we were super excited.
I
But
know.
like, if it doesn't belong, it's not time. It's not, so I think the people that you are going to reach are going to come to you because, it's almost like a magic. It's just part of the
timing.
Yeah.
It really is. You can't preach to and you can't heal those who are not ready to receive it. That's like bottom line. I've tried,
Right.
Yeah, so that's a great way to put it.
But then also how our webinar network of, just enlightened thinkers, I could say, and like healers and things like that. Like I mentioned, I've lived, different parts of the country, and now it's been so fascinating to be able to speak to the people that are from these different times of my life.
Yeah.
And the minute that I mention the work that you do, it's like their senses are like, what is this? I need to know. Like I need more.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's been a nice handful of like my personal people that have come out and sought you out.
Yeah.
And that's how it's done. That's exactly how it's done. It's not like you were going to call reaching for them, or I was trying to like set something up between y'all. They sought you out, and are floored. And you guys have never actually even met in person. It's all been over, this. So
yeah, it's so true. And I really think with this work especially, it's like testimonials, just people telling their story, their success stories, and how the work has helped them get out of like habits of self-sabotage, or this thing that they just were feeling for their whole lives and couldn't let go of, whatever the case may be. It's just hearing the people and seeing where they're at, months after we do the work, even weeks, depending on what we're working on. It's just like the change is inevitable, so it's like, I think that the more people I work on, the more people are going to be inspired to try it. And then it's just going to keep growing, we're healing the world, man.
And I'm finding specifically, one thing that almost after having the work done, like, is that like, right? Is that, like forgiveness is like, it becomes, I mean, it is second nature to us, like as divine spirits or divine beings or whatever. Like it's just innate. It's something that we do, but we forget in our human experience. So when you are given this emotional freedom that no longer holds you down, forgiveness is just like, it's literally just, it's like no big deal anymore. Like anything that you were holding on to, any grudges you may have had, any like grievances or resentments or whatever, it's just literally like almost as if it's melted away.
Yeah.
So I have discovered now, since it's been since January, I think, was when we finished up.
Yeah.
Last time we did any work together. And it's become more clear to me, those relationships that are true, those relationships that may need a little bit more like nourishment, and that are deserving of it, that it's helped me to kind of also release like that which is not serving me, or certain relationships that no longer have any sort of significance anymore because I'm not there anymore.
It's
you know,
huge.
and you got to continue to move on. You got to grow. And if things around you don't want to as well, then maybe there's a time for an end.
Yeah.
If there's an end, you know, maybe it wasn't so true, and it's okay because you're moving towards more truth, you know?
Yes.
And you know, a friend of mine always says, like, it's better to have 4 quarters than 100 pennies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe there was something in my emotional background or wherever that I dropped one of those quarters because I was like too upset for my own ego's sake to like even want to. But I realized like I really missed that quarter, and I care a lot about it, you know? So you have to kind of, it's allowed me at this point to kind of go back and find those relationships that I might have neglected a little bit and like pick them up and try to like rekindle things, or like just have a better understanding. You find closure in things. You also just like a forgiveness, I feel, is the big one. You know,
that goes hand in hand with allowing yourself to outgrow and move on from people, which has been huge for me in the last year, and situations and people that no longer serve you. And one of the quotes that I heard recently was like, when people show you who they are, believe them, because people can talk all day. And if that doesn't describe the majority of my ex-boyfriends, I don't know what does. But actions always speak louder than words. And you know, if you're giving and getting nothing in return, which now I can say I have experienced both romantically and in the friendship department, then you have to know when to like tap out and put yourself first. But then those are the situations that can be the hardest to forgive in. And the healing work that I've been doing is what has allowed me to do that. And it's like, it's so refreshing because I was so angry and so resentful so much of my last chunk of time in Vegas because I was so unhappy. You know, I mean, you know all the story. My day job, I was unhappy with relationships that were in my life, platonic and romantic, and it was just an absolute shit show. But without those people showing me their true colors, and without feeling so ick with my work situation, I never would have hit my personal low that had launched me into this, you know, spiritual evolution. And I know like the things that I've experienced in this life, I don't feel that they are like, you know, they're not very traumatic in terms of like what other people have gone through in this life. What I am learning is a lot of my past lives. I've been murdered at least 3 times. So I'm thinking, okay, so maybe I got to come back like to this life to have things a little easier. And, you know, the worst thing I'm going to have to experience, knock on wood, are like breakups with broken men and friendships ending because I'm outgrowing them, and realizing that after the fact, you know, these are my traumas, you know, it's not like childhood things or anything like that, but the forgiveness has been huge.
Yeah. And you know, it used to be that I would find my way out of a toxic friendship or relationship or whatever and be so hurt.
Yeah.
So crushed and so upset and so sad. It was so difficult.
Yeah.
How hard it was to have this friendship end. And it's like, but that wasn't a friendship, and it shouldn't be difficult.
Right.
If you're betting yourself, it should not ever be a difficult thing.
If it's a one-way street and you're putting yourself first, finally, yeah.
Right. But through the work that, you know, like releasing all of this, is that I've found when I'm releasing toxic relationships, it is a cinch. It's so simple. It's not a problem. I'm no longer upset. Like, there was a time in my life where I used to feel that way, but now it's like, it's such a freedom. It's
yeah,
you know, it's just
light. Yeah.
And then it allows for even more positivity to come in once you're allowed to weed out all this other stuff that doesn't belong there anymore, you know?
Yes, yank those weeds to let the flowers grow and make the new and
right.
And that's the part I want to touch on with you too, is so, well, actually, can we backtrack for 1 second? Because I would like to touch on the ugly, which is the processing. If you have anything to share about, you know, the 2 or 3 days post emotion code session, like, did you have any days that were really challenging for you because you were feeling the emotions extra, or you crying as a release, or like, because that's an intense process, and it can be, everyone's different.
I feel like every time, because I felt so open to discuss the work that was happening while it was happening, and to really get down into the nitty gritties as to like, this is what happened when I was this age. I feel like I did a lot of crying in the sessions.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge crier. Like I cry every single day if I can. Tears of joy is my absolute favorite thing of all time.
Holy water. We call them holy water.
Right? But I did find on a physical level, like I may have had like a past injury that was like, had caused a specific pain in my body, and it just forever was just at a 10, we'll say.
Yeah.
And I found that over time, like, these are like, they're all starting, like even now still to this day, like the more that I can, you know, be as good to myself as I can, it's all just kind of relieving itself, you know, like a pain in the knee, or like, you know, like something in my toe or whatever. It's just like slowly kind of just melting. I used to have a problem with my elbow. Like I don't even, like, it's not even a thing anymore, you know, like, and I haven't gone to see any sort of doctor. I haven't been racing myself or whatever, you know, but I would have to say that, you know, it had to do with the emotion that was connected around that, or like whatever happened around that time that I had that previous injury or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all connected. Every single piece of all of it is connected, between our physical to our emotional and mental, all of it.
Yeah. And that's that's not even working on things on physical things specifically. That's just from heart wall removal, but it is all intertwined. So, you know, when we work on, because I do work on people specifically for physical ailments, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be crossover emotions from, like, you know, the things in your hip equals a couple of bricks from the heart wall, you know, so you can go in for either thing, but chances are there's going to be crossover, and there's going to be benefits like you're experiencing without even like going in for your elbow. So that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. So cool. Okay, so yeah, so processing, everyone's different, and I do agree. The more that you're feeling in the moment, perhaps the less traumatic the processing days can be. I know for me, I get exhausted for like a good day and a half, sometimes 2 days. But I have had people reach out to me and be like, the fuck is going on? Like, my emotions are just like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like, you know, everyone's different, but it's good because, you know, oftentimes these are the people that really feel the things during the session, even hundreds of miles away, like people in other countries who will get head rushes or tingles when I'm working on them from Maine. And then, you know, so they're aware that things are moving, but then it really sinks in and clicks over the next couple of days when they're just like in a state of PMS times 10, essentially, like the craziness before the calm. And that is all.
Like, you know, you're given so much information in such a short period of time,
and it surfaces.
You can't possibly process that all right then and there.
No.
You know, so like we could talk about it. I could cry about it. We could remove it. But that's a lot of information in one tiny little moment. So it does take time afterwards to like mentally process, wow, and understanding like there's really no more emotional process going on. I still mentally am aware of it, but it's just, there's no connection in terms of like the thought doesn't have an emotion connected to it anymore. It's just kind of like you're just free from it, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's so amazing. Oh, damn, I had a nugget I was gonna drop, but I forgot. Oh well. Okay, cool. So then I guess I would just love to hear, like, because the way I explain to people about the heart wall is it, you know, breaking it down, you know, it's a wall we build to protect ourselves when we're going through really hard situations, you know, all the way from past lives up until now. And if you think about, okay, I'm 31 years old, so I've had 31 years of life on this earth, plus 9 months in a womb, plus I'm learning more than 24 past lives, and then in all of those lifetimes, ancestors. So if you think about all the potential energy that we have stuck inside of us, it's like hundreds or thousands of years worth of stuff, and a lot of it's not even yours. So imagine removing that out of your field. Like you're destined to feel lighter and to feel more connected. And the biggest thing is you're open to giving and receiving love in the most genuine way, and you're so much more likely to be able to find and step into your purpose, like why you exist on earth, what you were put here to do. It's just like doors open, like doors just open. That's the best way I can explain it. So would you like to just kind of tell people what has shifted for you post the third session? Like how is having the heart wall removal done really changed your reality?
So there is you're going to come out on the other side with a grander consciousness and awareness of yourself and your place in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, living in a conscious awareness really does dispel things like disease and you know, distress.
Yeah.
So so we kind of touched on that earlier, that like living in an unconscious state where you're just kind of constantly going through the motions, just there is a disconnection,
yeah,
between the entire existence of why I believe and know that we're here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when you are consciously aware and you're able to like be in that and you know, as much as you possibly can, we always try to just at least do our best.
Yeah.
And you know, just focusing on a positive life, focusing on, you know, trying to keep everything else aligned, you know, like with what you put in and with your sleep patterns and, you know, all of these things. But the closer that we can stay to conscious awareness, the less stress, the less disease, and all of these things. So I have found that this work has definitely opened me up more in such a way. And I've always kind of really tried to stay towards the positive of things. I've tried to, like, you know, constantly surround myself with, you know, Randy Land kind of energy, you know, and like keep it there. And you know, like everything falls right into place exactly where it needs to be. You begin to have more clarity on your thoughts, and your thoughts do begin to manifest, and they begin to manifest faster and faster and faster and faster every time. You know, and it's not like I have to sit here and wait and hope for transformation, because it's like I'm living that life. I've gotten myself to that place that I can feel okay, and I can know that what I'm doing is the best that I can be doing for myself and the best that I can be doing for the world around me. I don't ever get sick.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a very bold thing to say, but I don't. I
Yeah.
just don't, you know? And I can't even tell you the amount of blessings that just everything just opens up. Everything becomes more clear, and I don't have to sit around and wait. I no longer, you know, I used to have this really bad habit of just allowing things to go on way too long when they should have ended ages ago. Now it's like, no, like I see it. Like it's just awareness. It's the clarity. There's just an emotional freedom. There, I mean, just literally unlimited amount of positive benefits that I could not even possibly to just, there's a list forever and ever and ever, you know? So yes.
Heart wall free, baby. Heart wall
free.
Yeah. That's just awesome. And I, like, if there's one person I could have chosen, like, in my life when I was learning to do this work that, you know, I could have helped the most, it would be you, and it was you. So it's just so awesome.
Again, our connection, man, it's beyond. It's beyond.
Yeah.
It's infinite.
I feel we have been here before. I do want to do some more past life regression work, some on like a deeper, more hypnotic state kind of scale, because one of the things, and this isn't something I need to go in, like I want to go in with for specific lessons, but one thing that may come out of that in a book I'm reading, there's a lot of regressions, and people can often place people they see in their past lifetimes as the same souls of current people in their current life. So I just bet that I bet we have crossed paths at least once before, you know.
Right?
So crazy. Gosh, I'm trying to think what else I can ask you. I'm just like, I'm so grateful that you're here, and that your experience has been so positive. I'm trying to think if there's anything I would like you to tell people who are on.
One thing I'm hoping to I'm looking forward to is I really hope that you can do some work on my dogs.
Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely.
So that's something that we have to look forward to, because there's this never ends, we constantly just can always learn a little bit more from each and every single person on this planet. Like, I teach you, you teach me something. Let's all just keep learning from each other, And I feel like, healing arts and all this stuff is just constant evolution. And I look forward to that, because I've never had any healing work done on my pets before. So
yeah, I didn't work on little Jersey yet. I did work on a different dog in Vegas actually a few weeks back with some wonderful luck, and that review's on my Facebook
nice.
Healing page if anyone wants to check it out. This dog was suffering from parvo. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Okay.
So I wasn't. I'm not really. I don't have dogs. I don't know much about doggy ailments, but I think he was less than a week away from his final vaccine to prevent parvo. Ha ha ha! And then of course he gets it. So I went in, and what we actually targeted was his immune system, because that's another cool thing we can do with this work, is check to see at what percentage a living creature's immune system is functioning at. So that's something that's been great during this corona season, is making sure at the very least our immune systems are functioning at full capacity. And you would never think, oh yeah, Sally making fun of me in 6th grade is gonna have an effect on my immune system. But spoiler, these insane events you haven't thought about in 10 years could absolutely be affecting the immune system. So we got this dog's immune system up to 100%, and he bounced back the next day. So
oh my gosh, awesome!
Yeah, so it's just it's just amazing. I can't imagine doing anything else at this point. So,
and also you being the center point of a ripple. What you're doing right now is literally rippling out through time, space, generations to the past, to the future. You're working on the present. It's incredible. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think the one thing that we've always held so much in common is the fact that I think we're really good at being ourselves.
Yes.
And following that, trusting that, knowing that, believing that, and loving it, and embracing it.
The uniqueness.
That's the biggest thing that anyone can do.
Yes. Yeah. Come as you are. Be who you be. Because why would you ever want to do anything else? And I just love that, it was actually, this is something I was having an identity crisis. I don't know if I told you about this, but when I first started my business, one thing that came up in a healing session I was doing using Access Consciousness was I was having an identity crisis of performer, funny girl Heather versus what a healer should be Heather. So I was having this oh my God, well, people are expecting me to show up in my big chunky necklaces and my flowy shirts, talking like this, and
isn't that
that's
funny?
not who I am.
Right.
I'm over here dropping the fucking F-bomb every other word.
Yeah.
I'm come on, tell me your shit, And
right.
I had to be reminded that I need to be exactly who I am by nature in order to attract the clients who I am supposed to help. And I know this work can help everyone, but the people who are going to resonate and receive the most fully from me are going to be the ones who are attracted to my vibe. And I am very authentic and open and myself, and being that way, removing that block has been very, very helpful, because you just got to be you. Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, no, I feel like we covered it. 3 heart wall sessions, 2 in person, 1 remote. Processing wasn't too intense for you, but the after results are fucking fabulous. That's the nutshell version of what this has been. Yeah.
You know, it was the sessions themselves, though, that really just forever. I mean, I think back to the information that I received. And for me, the way that I processed that, that was a big deal, you know, because I have, I could literally go back and replay you every moment of my life, and I could know exactly what's going on, but to actually finally be in the moment and understand what I went through.
Yeah.
You know, the information is the kicker. It's
that,
just something
was what
that you just pull that out of, you know, you literally just pull it out. So
yeah. No, that's what I was gonna say too before, was that the processing that comes with this isn't, it's truly not just energetic, but even what you're talking about, where it's like I'm literally going in and I'm pulling up a memory to surface that it might not be something that you want to think about, but we're doing that like 7 times within a session. So that's like a lot to even just remind you of in an hour period or less, you know?
Right.
So it's coming off of that and that heaviness, in addition to adjusting to the lightness as it's leaving you. It's just like it's a lot. It can be a lot, but you have to go through the work in order to come out the other side. And this is so much less traumatic than sitting and talking about it for hours on end.
Oh,
it's much more effective too. I mean, I think there's a time and place for sure, you know, for talk therapy.
Sure.
But combine these like methods, you know, if people need that support system, wonderful. And then I know a lot of traditional therapists, I think, are doing a lot more holistic tools. I know there's something with like a tuning fork, just a lot more vibrational things. We're sort of slowly starting to integrate, especially the more science can back it up, because people just want to have a scientific, you know, explanation for everything. But yeah, amazing shit. Yay!
Bravo, sis. Keep it up, buddy. You're doing great things in this world, so thank you
so much. You are too. And if anyone wants to learn or talk to Randy about his Reiki, please don't be shy to reach out to him. I have gotten, actually, the first time you gave me Reiki was at the ranch at we were doing an outdoor show together, and it was like 5 minutes before we had to be on stage for one of the rehearsals. And
was it Wedding Singer though?
Yeah, what did I say?
Was it Wedding Singer though? Like, because I think that's the only ranch show we did together, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, because you weren't in Druid, and in my head I thought maybe no. Yeah, I think it was Wedding Singer. So wild, yeah.
And you had like a headache, or you just were like, you were like not centered, or something was going on.
Yeah. And you were like, oh, do you want a little Reiki? And I was like, fuck yeah, I want a little Reiki.
Yeah.
So just sitting on the bench, and I just like, I hadn't had it in years at that point. I'd only had a couple experiences with it. And I went into that rehearsal like the coolest fucking cucumber. I was like, I just got a full body massage in 5 minutes without even being touched. Like, this is glorious. This is the power of Reiki. Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, so
yeah, and you know, we've discussed about maybe like down the line doing other discussions about other topics and things. So
yeah.
We may be seeing each other again on here again. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we'll have to dig deeper into that whole topic later too. So I'll want to close this out before it cuts us off, because it will do that in about 5 minutes. So I just want to thank you so much, Randy, for being here and for sharing your story. I know people will go back and watch this and hopefully feel inspired and brave enough to have the work done themselves because of your success with it. So I really can't thank you enough. And I just fucking love you to the moon.
Likewise. Great to see you, and I miss you very much.
I miss you too. I'll talk soon, soul brother.
Yes, congratulations, buddy. Keep it up. Love you.
Bye.
Bye, hon.